Good to go.
All right, welcome everybody. I'm Dave Jenks, glad to be here. I know you've received the promotional flyers and all of that for this session on Why List with Me. And I just want to say a big thank you to Eric Kipnis, your OP, for funding me in here, bringing me to you. This is the 6th session we've done together, and Lauren has put this together and coordinated it and gotten all of the logistical work done, and I really appreciate that deeply. She's been a wonder to work with, and you guys have a wonderful, powerful market center, and I'm honored to be with you. So let's dive into what we want to do today. The topic is why list with me, and the key to this, there's several things I want to do. Many of you may know of my history. I've been in real estate over 30 years. I began with Century 21 in upstate New York, became their training director for 3 states, then their regional director for 3 states, and then they moved me to Texas to become a divisional president of Century 21 South Central States out of Dallas. And I saw this little company, just as I got there, growing in Austin, Texas. And of course, I've always studied my competition. So I really looked at it carefully and I said, wow, I mean, if I were inventing a real estate company, it wouldn't be like this big corporate brand driven company I'm with, Century 21, even though we were #1 in the world. I said, it would be like this company that Gary Keller's building down in Austin, because it's so dedicated to agents. And I know the agents are the core of the real estate business, not the corporations. I loved his economic model where the agents keep most of the money. And then also there is profit sharing. So there's wealth building opportunity on the back end. I went, wow, this is brilliant. And the neat thing is that 4 years later, I got a call from Mo Anderson. And she said, Dave, Gary and I want you on our team. We think you know more about real estate, national real estate franchising than anyone we know. And we love the way you reach out and train agents. You're so good at that. So I joined Keller Williams, and of course, we only had 2,000 agents at the time. And then now we have 182,000, #1 in the world, an amazing accomplishment because of our dedication to the real estate agent and through our local market centers. And we're going to talk later about this, but real estate is a local business. And so because we have intelligent owners and staff members locally, then we support our agents to achieve their goals, which is why we're the strongest company there is. Now, today I want to focus on you and building your business, because again, the individual agents, people do business with agents based on relationship and based on trust and reputation locally. And so this is a very important topic. Why list with me? The power of your words. So what I want to do today is to first help you become a powerful listing agent. One of my early mentors, Mike Ferry, said, Dave, here's the key to real estate. List a home, tell the world you listed it, sell the home, tell the world you sold it, go list another home. Sounds pretty simple, but I will tell you, that's what I've learned. Listing is the name of the game because it gives you credibility. And when it sells, it gives you more credibility. And in fact, several top agents that I've interviewed, I've said to them, what is your best marketing tool? And they all have said, just listed, just sold cards. They said, we list a home, we send out maybe 200 or 300 just listed cards. And we say, so-and-so has retained me to handle the sale of their home. If you know somebody that wants to move to this neighborhood, let me know right away. So that's a call for buyers. Then it would sell. And then they would send out a just listed card. And here's what it said. This is a very important phrase. The sale of any other home impacts the value of yours. If you want to know the value of your home or you need to sell it, call me today. So an action request, an action plan for interested sellers. So the sale of any other home impacts the value of yours. If you want to know the value of your home or need to sell it, call me today. So that being a listing agent, as we say, listers last. The second thing is I want you to be able to know and articulate your value proposition, because this idea of why list with me is very important. It is the question that sits there in the minds of our prospective sellers, and they want to know the value you bring, and you need to be articulate at bringing your value proposition. It's one of the things that's built my whole career. I learned through the Dale Carnegie Institute how to be a great salesperson, how to articulate my value proposition in a way that was powerful. And then I used that in everything I did. And in fact, I was kind of the person who was the recruiting specialist of Keller Williams when I first got there. In fact, one of my earlier staff members from Century 21, her father was with Remax. And so she joined the administrative staff of Remax International, and her name was Christy. And she wrote me an email in, I think it was 2003. And she said, Dave, I just came from a big Remax meeting in Atlanta, and we spent a whole afternoon talking about how to compete against Keller Williams. And they put your picture up on the screen, and they said, this is Dave Jenks. He's the wordsmith of Keller Williams, and he's talking to agents about why join Keller Williams. You better listen to him because that's what we're competing against. Isn't that interesting? Well, I got good at articulating a value proposition, and I want you to be good at articulating yours. And then I want you to become a master of the art of influence, because when you can help people understand why to do things, then they will listen to you and you will become a person of influence. And I just got named by another national company, Master Networks International, and I helped them launch their university, Master Networks University, and helped their founder, Chaz Wilson, write his best-selling book, 5+1, The Entrepreneur's Formula for Success. And they just named me their first ever Person of Influence award. Well, I thought about it, and I have become a person of influence because of what I'm going to teach you today. You can become a person of influence too. And then the core of all this today is to build a powerful listing presentation. I went to a big meeting with Mike Ferry early in my career, and there were like maybe 2,000 people in the room, and he got up in front and he said, your success in real estate is dependent upon three skills: prospecting, presenting, and closing. Which one of those do you think is the most important? How many think it's prospecting? And of course, that's what he teaches. So every hand went up in the room. He went, nope, it's not. How many think it's closing? Just hanging in there and answering questions and getting them to sign. And maybe half the hands went up. And he went, nope, it's presenting. He said, until you've mastered your presentation, you won't prospect. You won't have the confidence. You won't know your value proposition. You won't know how to answer questions. You won't prospect. But when you master your presentation, you will. And then he said, if you don't have a good presentation, doesn't matter how slick a closer you are, you're not going to get the sale. So he said, just remember, master your listing presentation. That's what we're working on today. Now, the heart of really being a good salesperson is mastering scripts and dialogues. And a lot of people misunderstand this, and I want to be really clear. Write this down. Scripts are the poetry of selling. Scripts are the poetry of selling. As Gary Keller said, he said, Dave, people have lived before us, and they have sold well, and they've learned how to say things in convincing ways, and they've passed those on to us in the form of scripts. So if we want to say things powerfully and influence people, we need to master those scripts. And the other interesting thing is we all actually love scripts, and we love scripts and dialogues. Why? Well, we binge on Netflix, we go to movies, we love to watch drama, and all that is actors and actresses memorizing and repeating scripts. That's all it is. They don't write the scripts. They're screenwriters who are really good with words, who write the scripts and the dialogues. And then those actors and actresses simply memorize those, internalize those, and then say them on screen, and we believe it. We love it. We're touched by it. Why? Because it's powerful words well delivered. So remember, scripts are the poetry of selling. And then I want to really get us familiar with this idea of how words work. And there's a wonderful book by Richard Bayan called Words That Sell. And it really helps you understand how to express the benefits of working with you in all different ways. He has all different ways of how to word things. It's wonderful. And also how to talk about yourself and how to get people's attention in your marketing. Words That Sell, great book. And he wrote another book called More Words That Sell. I have both of them in my library. The first one came out about 20 some years ago, and I got that as soon as it came out. So Words That Sell, Richard Bay, and get really good with understanding words and the power of words and the rhythm of words. And then all of this preparation, what it'll do is it'll build your self-confidence. And we are in a competitive business. Real estate is maybe the most competitive entrepreneurial business that exists. And you have to play it with confidence. And remember, this is an important thing. You can't just talk yourself into confidence. You can't do affirmations into confidence. Not bad to use positive self-talk, better certainly than negative and judgmental self-talk, but it's competence that leads to confidence. Competence leads to confidence. When you build your competence at real estate and making a presentation, your confidence will follow with that. So competence leads to confidence, and we're going to build confidence. And then that gives us control of our career. When we become a powerful, influential listing agent, we control the career. We can take it as big as we want. All right. Well, let's dive in. So there's three things I want to deal with: competence, communication, and presentation. Competence, communication, and presentation. And the first thing, and we covered this in our session called Magic Comes in Threes. Real estate is a complicated business. People would come up to Gary and I and say, well, it's real estate, it's not rocket science. And we go, oh, yes, it is. Played at the highest level, real estate is rocket science. It's brain surgery. It's not easy. And a lot of people think they can come into real estate and wing it on personality and enthusiasm. And I'm sorry, you can't, because this is a knowledge and skill-based business. We would say to ourselves in the Dale Carnegie Institute that it's the ask triangle: attitude, skills, and knowledge. So let's take a refresh. We did this in Magic Comes in Threes, but let's just remind ourselves, we are paid for our knowledge of contracts, finance, and property evaluation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am a master of real estate contracts. And by the time we get to the end of this transaction, there will be 75 or 85 pages of legal and financial documents that I will review in detail. And I will make sure they're filled out correctly, no mistakes, no one's taking advantage of you, and your interests are protected. And you will be confident in signing those documents because I am a master of real estate contracts. Now, what a great value proposition that is that I just asserted. And I've had a lot of agents come back to me after these sessions and go, Dave, I'm so glad you focused on this, because I am really good with contracts and finance and property valuation, but I didn't think that was really part of my listing presentation. I thought I had to tell them how many sales I'd done and testimonials and certifications. And what I realized is, no, I just need to convey to them my competence. And I am really competent at this business. So let your competence build your confidence, right? So contracts, finance, top agents say that brand new agents rely too much on their mortgage officers for the finance side of the business. Yes, you rely on them for pre-approvals and for obviously applications and underwriting, but you need the knowledge of financing, both for your buyers and to evaluate offers on behalf of your sellers. And then the third thing is property evaluation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am a master of property evaluation. I am not a licensed appraiser, but I am better than they are at assessing what a home will likely sell for. But even more important than that, in how to make the home worth more, sell more, and compete well on the market against other sellers. And so with me, I will get you the highest possible price because I am a master of property evaluation. So become a master, know the market, know the values, do your CMAs, know what's going on, know what makes homes more valuable in your area. Become a master of property evaluation. And then skills, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk big about communication skills. The heart of this is presentation skills. And then, of course, you use the Y4C2Ts of Keller Williams to become a master negotiator. Win-win or no deal. Seek first to understand. The customer always comes first. Together, everyone achieves more. That whole thing right there, the whole Y4C2Ts, is about positive and productive negotiations. And then finally, attitude. How we think going into a venture. Every book that Gary, and all the best-selling books that we wrote, the three most best-selling books in the history of real estate, were written by Gary Keller, Dave Jenks, and Jay Papasan. And every time in the front of every book, we talked about your attitude, how people who succeed in that category think. So your attitude is important. And I think there are three attitudes of a great listing agent. Intention, assertiveness, and commitment. Intention means that we have goals, we get things done, we set aside time to do things, we keep track of things, and we are held accountable. We make good things happen. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of the things you'll find about me is I'm a person of intention. I make good things happen. I have goals, I have progress charts, and I get things accomplished. So that means when I decide to handle the listing of your home, I will get it done because I'm a person who makes good things happen. I'm a person of intention, right? What a great way to talk about yourself. Now, the second one is assertiveness, and this is a tricky one because a lot of people don't understand what that really means. See, it's assertiveness, not aggression. Assertiveness stands up and asks for what it wants and makes sure the right thing happens. Aggressive people try and manipulate and control. So that's not it. And you want to be able to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you will find in working with me, I'm a very assertive person. I'm not aggressive. I get along really well with people. I don't offend them, but I make sure that I protect your interests. I stand up and ask for what we want. I make sure that no one takes advantage of you because I am an assertive person. See, it's an important thing. I learned this in my career. I was a district manager in Syracuse, New York for Century 21. I wanted to become a regional director, which was the person who would run the entire region, the president of the region. So I was making 18,000, and that position made 150,000 at the time. And I wanted that, but I realized when I set that goal that I needed to become a more assertive person. I needed to take charge more. I needed to take more risks. I was playing it too cozy. I was wanting everyone to like me. I cared too much about other people's opinions, and I wasn't asserting myself. And so I learned how to do that. I found a thing called the Assertiveness Bill of Rights. It's a wonderful document, the Assertiveness Bill of Rights. I put it up in front of my desk, and I became consistently a more assertive person. Now, let me tell you what happened. This is fun. This is a great story. So when my regional director, when I was a district manager in Syracuse, his name was Marv, got promoted to Century 21 corporate office in California. He became the executive vice president. He was replaced by another guy, George, to become the regional director. And 3 years later, George was promoted to a bigger region out of Atlanta, and they needed to fill this position in New York. And I got to interview for the job. By then, I had become training director for the region. And I was sitting in front of Marvin, and I could tell he was setting me up to let me down. He said, Dave, you're great. We're really so glad the job you've been doing, wonderful. But we have so many people, so many great leaders in Century 21. And I knew the next statement was, so maybe you'll have your opportunity in the future, but not now. And I said, Marv, I just want to stop you. I just want you to know that the man sitting across from you today is not the same man who you left 3 years ago back in New York. No, I am more assertive and take charge. I know how to make that region rock. And he kind of stood back and went, okay, Dave, what would you do in that region? And I gave him my list. I was prepared. I told him exactly what I do. And he went, whoa, that's good. And I got the job. Why? Because I dared to be assertive and I learned how to be assertive. I followed the Assertiveness Bill of Rights. Now I put that out there because I want you to be able to do the same thing. So assertiveness, commitment. I learned this from one of the great pioneers in Keller Williams. His name was Tom Caldwell. Tom Caldwell was the president of Van Schok Realty, the biggest independent real estate company in Denver, Colorado. And he went to a meeting of real estate leaders in Florida. And Gary Keller spoke to that group. And he came back and said to his wife, Gwen, there's the future of real estate. Gary Keller is the future of real estate. And he resigned his job, his cushy job as the president of Van Schok, went down to Austin and signed up to bring Keller Williams to Colorado. And he built it in Colorado. And like 4 or 5 years later, he sold the region for couple of $1 million. And he and his wife now travel the world. And he's a history buff, right? Love doing that. Now, he said something to me I will never forget. He said, Dave, the secret to success is do what you say you'll do. Do what you say you'll do. Be a person of commitment. He said, that's the whole key. So many people say what people want to hear and then they don't deliver on it. He said, I not only keep a to-do list, I keep a commitment list. And anytime I tell someone I'm going to do something for them, or I tell myself I'm going to do something, I put it on my commitment list. And I really complete my commitment list before I focus on my to-do list. He said, it's so important, be a person of commitment. And then, of course, you can say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, one of the reasons to work with me is I'm a person of commitment. I get things done. If I say I'm going to take it to the bank, if I say I'm going to do something, you can take it to the bank. Promises made, promises kept. I am a person of commitment. What a wonderful way to present yourself to others who, by the way, want to trust you. So there we have it. The whole area of competence, knowledge, skills, and attitudes. So work on those, because competence leads, of course, as we said, to confidence. Now let's look at communication, because underneath it all is communication, being an effective communicator. And I learned that also through the Dale Carnegie Institute. His great book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's in the top 200 of Amazon.com every year. It's in the top 200 of all the books that Amazon sells, and they sell, tens of thousands of different titles. And this book is always in the top 200, and it was written 75 years ago. Why is it there? It's built on timeless truth that doesn't change. That's why is it that Keller Williams, that we wrote The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and it's the best all-time selling book in the history of real estate, 1.4 million copies sold, and it's still number one on Amazon.com today, right today, in the real estate category. And it was written 17 years ago. Why? Because it's built on timeless truths. So one thing to remember is build your life on timeless truths, not modern current gimmicks, not new age gimmicks. Build it on timeless truth. So what's the timeless truth about communication? Well, Dale Carnegie says there's a big three. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Don't do that. When you do that, you slide into negativity. You slide into non-relationship. People don't like to hear it. Even if you're participating with them, it makes you a negative influence. So don't criticize, condemn, or complain. It's the key to relationships. My wife and I are very careful not to criticize, condemn, or complain about each other. Number two is give honest, sincere appreciation. Maybe the most powerful script in the world is this: thank you. I really appreciate that. Powerful. So give honest, sincere appreciation, have an attitude of gratitude, let that show all the time. And then finally, the third big one is focus on what other people want. Zig Ziglar said, you will get what you want in direct proportion to the number of people who you help get what they want. We're in a service-oriented business. When we help others get what they want, then we get what we want, right? So focus on what others want. So there's the big three. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Give honest, sincere appreciation, and focus on what others want. And then there's the supportive six. Here's what he said: be genuinely interested in other people. Gary Gentry, the guy who closed the first sale ever in the history of Keller Williams back in 1983, said, Dave, I learn more about somebody in half an hour than anyone else because I have this genuine curiosity about people. I ask great questions. I listen carefully. They trust me. He said, I just learn more about them because of my genuine interest in who they are. So remember, in your listing presentation, the first part of it is all about building rapport with them, getting to know them and building rapport as you walk around the home and kind of get to know each other and take a look at what their home is like and maybe some staging recommendations you're going to make. But it's your chance to build rapport and get to know them. So show your genuine interest. The other is smile. In this age of masks, one of the things that shut down is a lot of our nonverbal signals that we as human beings really rely on. So let your positive energy show through physically. Smile. And then remember people's names. It's the sweetest sound they'll ever hear is their name. And do not say this to me. Don't. Dave, I'm no good at names. Dave, I've never been good at remembering names. Dave, I just can't learn how to remember names. Don't say that. Why would you give yourself that self-talk? Why would you give your subconscious that message that you can't do it? No. So here's the message. Dave, I'm working at remembering names. Dave, I'm getting better at remembering names. Dave, this is really working well for me. And here's the thing to remember. Remembering people's names is a challenge for almost everyone, unless those who've mastered it, because it's two different parts of your brain. The part of your brain, the right side, is about building relationship and having a general sense of who somebody is and building that connection and rapport, that emotional side. But their name and where they came from and all that are, and their labels, their children's names, dogs' names, all of that are on the left side of the brain. They're the labels. And connecting your sense of people and their labels is the hard part. That's the challenge. And we all have it. So here's the way you master it. First of all, you pay attention to it. You write it down. Anytime you meet somebody new, take out your pad and write down their name and make sure that you spell it right. Ask them how to spell it if they don't know how. If you forget to ask for that and then you realize you're talking with them and you don't know their name, say, oh, by the way, I had a little brain glitch. Just tell me, what was your name again? Mary. Okay, Mary, good, thank you. Write it down. So write it down. And before you go into an appointment, write it down. And then if it's a name like Elizabeth, do they like Elizabeth or Beth or Liz, Dave or David, Jim or James? Always make sure you know how they want to hear it. Write it down. Then use it multiple times. So Dave, thank you very much for opening your home and letting me come here to earn the right to handle the sale of your home. Here's what's going to happen, Dave, in the next few minutes. First, I'm going to ask you a series of questions so I can get a clear idea of what you, Dave, want to accomplish and how I can help. How's that sound, Dave? See, now you say, well, that's a bit much. No, it's not. They will never feel you are overusing their name, but it will help you get it in your memory and remember it. So remember people's names. Then remember, this is the rapport building time. A lot of agents forget and they try and prove who they are by talking about themselves, when this is the time to let them talk about themselves. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Always do this. Always do this. We went and visited my wife's grandson, and I talked with him, asked him about school, all that stuff I was doing, what sports he liked, all that. We had a great time together. I learned a lot about him. And afterwards, he said to his mother, wow, Mr. Dave is a great conversationalist. And all I was doing was asking questions. I wasn't telling him anything else. It was funny. So encourage others to talk about themselves. And here's the thing, talk about their interests, not yours. No me toos, right? A lot of people have this misunderstanding that if we share a common interest, that will bond us. Not necessarily. So if I said, for example, well, what do you like to do for recreation? Oh, Dave, I like to play golf. You like to play golf? Oh my God, I love golf. I'm a golf addict. I'm a 5.2 handicap. What's yours? Yeah, and I'm a member of Oak Hill Country Club. Are you a member of a country club? And what great golf courses have you played? I've played Pebble Beach. Isn't that amazing? What have I done? I've just taken the conversation from them to me. It's all about me, me, me. And now instead of bonding, now I'm probably a little bit competitive. I probably turned them off. So talk about their interests, not yours. And if you have a common interest, say you like movies, and you say, okay, what do you like? And they go, oh yeah, my wife and I like to go to movies. You do? That's wonderful. What kind of movies do you really like? Are there any actors or actresses that you follow? What about directors? Any particular director films? Yeah. And what have you seen recently that you recommend that I go see? Wonderful. That's great. I love movies too. See, that's all it took. But it's you using your knowledge of movies to ask them great questions. So talk about their interests, not yours, and then make others feel important. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I just want you to know that I'm here to earn the right to handle the sale of your home. And I trust that you will make that judgment and I will honor that. And anytime while we're working together, I'm going to give you the best recommendations and information that I have. But whatever you want to do, we're going to do because you're the boss. So you want to put them in that position, even though you're the servant getting things done and you're the most knowledgeable person, you still are treating them with the respect of them, their decision being important. So make others feel important. And if they have an important job, like they have their own company or they have a big office in the company, or they're a volunteer at something, honor them for that, compliment. And if they've been in the military service, say thank you for your service. Whatever it is, make others feel important. So there's the supportive 6 for key to communication. Be genuinely interested in others, smile, let your energy come through, remember people's names, do the work and do the repetition, encourage others to talk about themselves, talk about their interests, not yours, no me toos, and make others feel important. Okay, so we've done competence and communication. Now we're going to dive into presentation. And understand the heart of this is learning the language. Linda McKissick, who went from failing out of real estate to 7th level in 8 years, she went from failing out of real estate, and 8 years later, the McKissick Group Our systems are your solution. That was her motto. She closed 352 sales, 8 years after almost failing out of real estate. And she had 4 admins, 5 buyer specialists, 2 listing specialists, and a manager. She wasn't even managing it day to day. She was its owner. That's what we call in the book the 7th level. And she said, Dave, she said, here's what keyed my career. She said, I was a down home country girl, kind of told it like it was. And I had to come to this realization that I was boring. And I would talk to other agents and they would be so good at describing things. And I said, how did you do that? And they said, well, we've just learned our scripts. And so she said, I started to learn how to script, how to ask for business, how to negotiate business, how to make presentations, how to recruit people to my staff, how to run my sales meetings. And I realized, she said, that the whole key was mastering the right way to say things, saying saying that which is obvious in an emotionally powerful way. So, and Gary Keller says, here's what you do. You memorize, internalize, customize, and capitalize. You do what an actor or actress does. You take the great words and you memorize them exactly as they are, because an actor and actress don't change the script. If they go that, the director will say, wait, you're going off script. I want you to stay on script. That was written for a reason. You just deliver it. So you memorize it exactly it is, and then you internalize it, meaning you get the feeling of it. It isn't like you dumb it down and make it yours. You feel the power of it. And then when it comes back out with emotional power. And then, of course, you customize it, meaning, see, a lot of people think scripts and dialogues are long things. They're not. They're short little word bites, sound bites, little techniques. And for example, one of the most powerful scripts in the world is handle the sale of your home. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm here to earn the right to handle the sale of your home. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want, when I work to handle the sale of your home, here's what I'll do. See, others will say, sell it, list it, market it. Those are dumbed down words. Handle the sale of your home is fiduciary. So there's a good thing. There's a customized. And then we said, thank you and appreciate your service. All of those are customized little scripts. So you use scripts and dialogues in chunks. We're going to show you some of those. And of course, then capitalize meanings when you use them, then you get the business. So this is it. Memorize scripts and dialogues. So what we're going to do now is focus on the presentation itself. And it involves several stages: setting the stage, getting the people's mind in the right place, making the presentation, highlighting the key benefits, dealing with pricing and staging after they've hired us, and then explaining the commission if we need to. Now, understand there's really 3 parts of getting a listing. I mean, there's really 4 parts. One is getting the appointment, but before lead generation and appointment, once you get there, there's building rapport. That's the whole first part. That's the communication part. And that may take whatever it takes, half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever you do to tour the home. Then there's the presentation, and that should only take 15 to 20 minutes. Your presentation should be very short, concise, and to the point and powerful. We're going to talk about that. And then when they hire you, now you do the work of pricing, staging, marketing, all of the work, communicating with them, all of the work of getting the home sold. Don't mix any of those others in with the presentation. The presentation is about why list with me. So we're going to focus on that. We've already focused on building rapport. Now we're down to the presentation time. Now let's talk about setting the stage. There's several scripts I highly recommend. One of the most powerful I learned from Mike Ferry is called the 1-minute listing presentation. It goes like this: Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? First, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Okay, great. And second, are you willing to price it to sell? All right, great. And would you like me to handle the sale for you? Great. Now, why is this a 1-minute listing presentation? Well, listen to this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? Great. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? Oh yeah, Dave, we got to be out of here in 6 or 8 weeks. We better get it sold. Great. Are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we want to get the most we can for it, but yeah, we'll price whatever you say we need to get it sold. Great. And 3, would you like me to handle the sale for you? Well, yeah, Dave, you come so highly recommended. Yeah, we want to list with you. Great. All right, let's get started. Here's the first thing. Let's take a look at the listing contract. See, now I'm good. I'm going to get to work. There's no need for any more presentation. In less than 1 minute, I've got the listing. Why? Because I got 3 yeses to my questions. That's why it's a 1-minute listing presentation. But here's the thing, no matter what their answers, well, let me give you another example. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. Yeah, may I ask them? Great. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? Well, no, Dave, we don't. We love it here. We love this home. We just thought we'd put it on the market and see what it would get. All right, great. Are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we need to get 900,000 for it, at least 900,000. Okay, all right, great. And would you like me to handle the sale for you? Well, maybe we're interviewing 2 other agents too. All right, great. Let's get started. All right, now what I've got now is 3 pieces of information. I know motivation, I know education, and I know commitment. In other words, the answer to the first one tells me their motivation. Do they need to sell? In the case of what I just heard about, we would love it here and we just want to see what it what it might get. I probably won't take that listing. If that really is their only motivation, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to spend all my time and energy and money just so they can see what their home would sell for. But I'm going to probe it. I'm not going to just accept it. There may be a deeper motivation underneath it, but the answer to the first one tells me their motivation. Number 2 is it tells me the education. If they say they need 900,000 and I know the market is probably at best going to get them 780 or 790, then I know I have an educational job to do to inform them about how the market works. But I'm never going to fight them, and I certainly am not going to fight them up front on price. No. So that's later. And then the third one is commitment. Are they committed to me? And they go, well, we're going to interview 2 other agents. So I know I've got to be really good, create a sense of urgency, create a sense of a decision now. And then I'll say to them, oh, by the way, I'll let those other 2 agents know that they can bring their buyers to your home for sure, but I've got the listing handled. Okay, great. I'll be happy to do that. See what that is? So doesn't matter what the answers are to these 3 questions. It tells you where you are with them, and hopefully, and very likely, you'll get 3 yeses and you can just start to get to work on selling the home, right? So setting the stage, the 1-minute listing presentation. Now, here's another thing. We need to get their attention. We need to have them understand that this is really a time for them to make a decision, and their mind may be somewhere else, maybe on a job issue, or maybe on homeschooling, or maybe on a shopping list, or something else going on with the family. So you've got to get their attention, and here's one way to do it. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at the end of our meeting, one of 3 things will happen. 1, you will decide to have me handle the sale for you, or you'll decide not to list with me, or 3, I will decide not to take your listing. Now, by the way, any of those 3 is okay with me. Does that make sense? Now, wow, they know in their mind you are now serious. There's a decision going to be made. There's not going to be, oh, let us think about it. And that one of them might be that you wouldn't take their listing. Well, Dave, wait a minute. Why wouldn't you take our listing? Well, here's the thing. My commitment is to meet your expectations or exceed them. And if I think after our discussion I cannot do that, then I'm not going to lock you into a listing, and we're going to part friends and move on. Does that make sense? Okay, but we hope you'll list our home. See, now you're creating, so you never come to the table with dollar signs in your eyes or neediness. Oh, I really need this listing. No. You're willing to walk away from it. And you need to be willing to do that. And the same thing is, you need to be willing to fire a bad seller. If somebody is giving you a tough time and they're not easy to work with and they've got a lot of discontent, you say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I don't think this is working out. So I'm going to free you from this listing. I'm going to release it to you, and you can move on and do what you need to do. We'll part friends. That sound okay? Wait, Dave, what do you mean? What do you mean? Well, I can just tell that, you're not happy with what I'm doing, and you're expressing that. And so I don't want to hold you to something that doesn't work for you. Oh, Dave, no, I know we've been under stress lately and we've been a little hard to work with. We're sorry about that. No, we want you to handle the listing. See, they'll pull me back in, but I was willing to walk away. So that's important. Now, the other thing is you want to get their mind in that this is only going to take 15, 20 minutes, this presentation part. and they should be paying attention. So there's another expectation to set. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at the end of our meeting, which by the way will only take about another 15 or 20 minutes, one of three things will happen. One, you will decide to have me handle the sale for you. Notice my body language, positive. Or you'll decide not to list with me. Like, why would you think that, right? Look at the body language. Or you'll decide not to list with me, or I will decide, look, notice the push, I will decide not to take your listing. Any of those three things is okay with me. Does that make sense? See, and now they go, well, okay, Dave, well, whatever it is. Or no, we want you to handle it, whatever. You're going to get feedback from them as to where you are. So that's called another. Now, here's a third way you can set the stage. By the way, you don't have to use all three of these. You can pick which ones you want to work. This is called Safe Island. I learned it from Floyd Wickwin. And it's about, he said, anytime you tell somebody, here's what's going to happen next, it relieves them of the pressure. And they, that's going to happen. Yes, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will report to you every week on a predetermined basis exactly what's happening on the sale. Does that sound good? Oh yeah, see, you've told them what's going to happen. Or here's what's going to happen next. We're going to put a sign in the yard, and then we're going to agree on where to market your home. Anyway, always telling them what's coming next is a good thing. Now, here's what to do. They may think this presentation is going to go on way too long, and they're worried about that. So here's a way for you to appear organized and to also relieve them of the feeling this is going to go on a long time. Now, it uses a technique called stacking, and we use this in the Dale Carnegie Institute all the time. We would teach a class that might have 16, 17, 18 different sections, and we never had notes or books or anything in front of the class as the teacher. And we would take them through exercises and things, and we would stack a group of objects that we could mentally remember that would be the trigger that would remind us what that section of the class was going to be. So that's what this is. It's called stacking. So here's the stack. On the bottom is the letter B followed by the number 4, bright pink, B4. On top of that is a stopwatch, but it only has 1 minute on, and you think 1 minute. Out of the top of the stopwatch comes 4 steps, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. You see it in your mind. On the top step is a bunch of question marks all gobbled together, right? Clumped together, but you can see they're question marks. On top of the question mark is a grocery cart. We call it a market basket full of numbers, right? A shopping cart, but a market basket full of numbers. On top of that is a jail cell, a window with bars on it and a prisoner behind it. And we think jail cell. And on top of the jail cell is a spiral staircase that comes up, and we think steps, spiral staircase with steps. So what's on the bottom? B4, then 1 minute, then 4 steps, then question marks, then market basket, then jail cell, then spiral staircase with steps. All right, here's what that reminds us of. You ready? Now listen to this presentation. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, before we begin, may I take a minute to tell you how I work? Great. Basically, I use a 4-step process. First, I'm going to ask you a series of questions so I can get a clear idea of what you want to accomplish and how I can help. And then I'm going to give you enough market information so you can make a rational decision about the price to place on your property. And then I'm going to honestly sell you on the benefits of working with me and my company and how we get the results we do. And then when you hire me to handle the sale for you, I will tell you step by step all the things I will do to cause your home to sell. How's that sound? Shall we get started? All right, here we go. So now you're right into your presentation, but you've set the scene. You're going to appear to them to be organized and efficient. It's not going to take a lot of time, and they have that peace of mind of knowing what is coming next. Does that make sense? Great. So setting that stage. Now here's the key to great selling. I learned this in the Dale Carnegie Institute. It works in all selling. It works if you're a person of influence, and that is facts, benefits, feelings. I want you to see that trio: facts, benefits, feelings, facts, benefits, feelings, facts, benefits, feelings. Facts are what I do, but benefits are what they get as the client, what they get from that. And then feelings is how it will make them feel afterwards. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's what I do. That's the fact. Therefore, you will get this. That's the benefit. And that will make you feel like this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, uh, I am a master of the marketplace, and I will give you all the latest market information, which means that you, along with me, will be able to make the right decisions on our pricing strategy to get the most money for your home. And you can have that satisfaction and well-being of having gotten the most money. That sound good? Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as I said, I am a master of real estate contracts. So there will be 75 or 85 pages of legal and financial documents that I will review in detail and make sure they're filled out correctly and make sure that no one's taking advantage of you, which means that you will be able to be confident in signing those documents and going to closings, and you'll have that peace of mind and sense of relaxation. That makes sense? Sure. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you can ask me questions anytime, by the way, but we will set up a regular once or twice a week meeting where I will be reporting to you on the progress of the sale of your home, which means that you will know what's going on. You'll be able to ask any questions, and you'll have that feeling of being respected, listened to, and that we are progressing well toward the sale of your home. Does that make sense? Yeah, great. So see what I did? Every time I said what I did, that was the fact. I would always express what that meant to them. We're going to see this work later, but the benefit, and then get really focused on helping them understand how good it feels to work with you, how they'll have peace of mind and relaxation. They'll be respected and listened to, and you're available to them, that they can have confidence and security and satisfaction and happiness and joy, that working with you is a positive experience. So facts, benefits, feelings. Now, here's the core of a great listing presentation. I want you to get ready. It's very simple. This is the heart of a great emotional listing presentation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 3 reasons to list with me. 1, you can trust me. 2, I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. Does that make sense? Are we ready to get started? Yeah. See, now, by the way, I'm not always going to say, are you ready to list with me? That's too obvious. Are we ready to get started? Yeah. Okay, dive in. Now you pull out the listing agreement, you review it in detail, all the things. We'll say, hey, we'll decide on pricing later, but let's just make a commitment to each other. They sign it, you sign it. And then later you work on pricing and marketing and the other parts of it. We'll talk about that later. See, but this is the core. This is the emotional core. People do business with people they like. People do business with people they trust. People do business with people who take them seriously. People do business with people they feel safe with. So that's why these are the 3 most important reasons for them to list with you. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 3 reasons to list with me. 1, you can trust me. 2, I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. That sound good? Yeah, let's go. So now, by the way, you say, well, Dave, that's just so crisp and short. Of course it is. It's powerful. But if you're more comfortable, but don't dumb it down. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 3 reasons to list with me. Number 1, you can trust me. I mean, people who work with me said they would trust me with their children and their bank account. You can trust me. Number 2 is I will answer all your questions. And I'm a professional. So I know what I know and I know what I don't. If I know the answer, you'll get it. If I don't know the answer, I have this world-class company, Keller Williams, behind me, and I will go get us the right answer, but I will always answer your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. As I said, 75, 85 pages of legal documents. I'll make sure that no one's taken advantage of you. There's no mistakes, and you can confidently move toward closing. And if anything comes up, I will assert myself to protect your interests and make sure that we get what we want, because I will protect you all the way through closing. You understand? But memorize it in the short form. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 3 reasons to list with me. 1, you can trust me. 2, I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. Ready? Let's go. All right. Now, there's another part, though, to this. And you'd say, so, and by the way, page 95 is a magical page. In MREA. It's magical. There is a listing presentation on 1 page. You could take a photocopy of that page and you could go to a seller and you could read it just like it is And it would be better than 95% of all listing presentations they will get from anybody. Why? Because it tells them exactly what you're going to do. So here's the way the script would go. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, there are 10 important things that I'm going to do to serve you and get your home sold successfully. How much detail would you like me to go into? Well, Dave, no, you don't need to go into all the details. We know you'll tell us what we need to know when we need to know it. Let's just get started, right? Some people will do that. Others, you may say, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are 10 important things I do to serve you and get your home sold successfully. How much detail would you like me to share with you? Oh, Dave, really, would you tell it? Yeah, tell us the 10 things. We really wonder what real estate agents do. What are the 10 things that you do? Let me just take a minute to tell you. By the way, page 151 also has the 14 ways that you market a home. And you may add a couple on to that. So it may be for you 16 ways, but that's there to use as a reference, okay? So yeah, Dave, give us these details. Okay, let me just take a minute. Here they go. There are 10 things really. Number one is I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm going to do a very thorough needs analysis. I'm going to know your priorities, your plans, and what you want to accomplish. Number two is I will give you enough market information to develop a very intelligent pricing strategy so that we can get the most money possible for your home. And then three, as part of that, I'm going to recommend some repairs that will make your home look better and staging that will make it compete better against other homes. So we will get the highest possible price. And then we'll develop a marketing strategy. I have 14 ways that I market homes. We'll decide which ones work in your case. And then five, my job really begins when we get our first offer and I have to evaluate it and decide whether we're going to take it off the market and accept that offer or whether we want to make a counter offer. And then that leads me to number six, and as I'll negotiate the final contract. We may get multiple offers and I'll work all that and negotiate it and make sure that you get the best deal and the best terms for your property. And then as part of that, the buyer may require some repairs and some other cosmetic work, in which case I have a group of vendors who can do that. I will get prices from them. I would never do anything without your permission. And then I will coordinate all those repairs. And then, of course, as I said, there'll be 75 or 85 pages of legal documents that I will review in detail. I'll go over with them with you if you want me to. I'll make sure that no one's taking advantage of you and that everything's done correctly and you can confidently sign those agreements and we can move to closing. And of course, at closing, number 9, I'll be there to advise you and resolve any last minute issues. And then finally, I want to be your realtor for life. So after the closing, I'll help you coordinate your move. Oh, by the way, do you have an agent where you're buying a home? Because if you don't, I can get you a great agent to work on the purchase of that home and coordinate it with me on the sale of your home. Does that make sense? Great. I'd be happy to do that. And then of course, the sale of your home creates a tax event. So I will prepare all the right documents for you to take to your CPA and your tax or your tax prep person as you file your taxes next year. Okay, good. Any questions on this? Great, let's get started. See, now you in a very short period of time, 3 or 4 minutes, you have reviewed in detail all the things you do to earn your commission, by the way, and to get their home sold. It's powerful. Now let's dive into some specialized scripts. See, there's ways that you can make yourself appear really stronger and bigger than any other agent. And one is this one called the Fiduciary Agent script. Gary Keller believes that every client needs a fiduciary agent, someone who protects and takes care of their interests. But unless they're an attorney, they really don't know what the word fiduciary means. So you have to give them a way to understand it. So here's a great script for doing that. By the way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I just want to remind you that I am licensed by the state of Massachusetts to represent you in the sale of your home. And I will always place your interests above the interests of any other party, including my own. And I'm committed to get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. Does that sound good? Yeah. By the way, this gives you that power of authority. Some of them aren't quite sure how all that works. And by the way, you don't say I'm licensed in order to help other people, buyers, sellers, all that generic stuff. No, it's them. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am licensed by the state of Massachusetts to represent you in the sale of your home. And I will always place your interests above the interests of any other party, including my own. And I'm committed to get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. All right. Now, by the way, here's another one that Linda McKissick taught me. She said, Dave, you have to learn to state the obvious in emotionally powerful ways. And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, let me give you an example. So I go, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will immediately tomorrow morning notify all the realtors in the area that 1, it's on the market, 2, its best features, and 3, why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. Would you like me to do that? Oh yeah, Linda, that would be great. Would you do that, all that out for us? Oh yeah, that'd be wonderful. See? Now she said, yeah, other agents will say, yeah, well, we're going to put it in the MLS and put a sign in the yard. They dumb it down. No, open it up. By the way, realtors created the MLS to protect the interests of buyers and sellers and help transactions happen. So what you want to do is take credit for that and show what that means to them, the benefits they get. Remember, it's the facts benefits, right? So when you hire me, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, to handle the sale of your home, I will immediately, know that sense of urgency, notify all the other realtors in the area that 1, it's on the market, 2, its best features. In other words, I'm going to be promoting it. And 3, why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. When you work with me, you get qualified buyers. This is powerful. I know it sounds obvious, but it's powerful and it sets you apart from others, right? And that's often, we don't really help the consumer, the client, understand all the work we're doing or the intelligence of our work. We just sort of take it for granted. And it's really important, though, that you sell to them the benefit of you doing it. And this is really great with this one. I learned this from Althea Osborne. Althea Osborne was the #1 agent, not only for Keller Williams, but for the entire Austin marketplace for many, many years. And she had a neat lead generation technique, by the way. She would watch these new tech startup firms happening in Austin. She would find out who the owner was and where they were, and she would show up and she'd say, Jim, I noticed you're starting this new tech company down here, and I'd like to apply to be a part of your recruiting team. And they go, Althea, what do you mean our recruiting team? Well, I know you're trying to get really good technicians and programmers to move here to Austin to be part of your company. And when you bring them in for an interview, I'll give them an area tour. I'll answer all their questions. I'll show them why this is such a great place to live, and have them meet other people. And if you decide to hire them, then I'll even help them find a home. Isn't that interesting? I'll even help them find a home. But her first front end was what he needed, someone helping him do recruiting. And they brought her, they did that. And they would ask her afterwards, actually, they learned of her intelligence. And they said, so Althea, what do you think of that person? Should we hire them? Why are they leaving where they're leaving? And what did they say about us? And anyway, she was part of their recruiting process. And of course, she sold them homes. And then when they needed to sell, she sold those homes, and she had a whole string of business that came from that great technique. But here's what she said, Dave, now I'm selling $1 million homes, and they're all asking me, Althea, where will you advertise our home? And she said, that really bothers me because I know that's a waste of money. So here's how I answer it. So Althea, where are you going to advertise our home? Well, Jim, let me educate you about how real estate really works. Ads don't sell homes. Realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for the best agents to bring their qualified buyers to your home. And as your agent, I will never waste your money. And I certainly wouldn't waste my own. Isn't that brilliant? Well, Dave, she's just talking about co-broking. Of course she is. But when I first came in the business, not every broker co-broked. Some places, the only way you could get to that listing was through them. But we as an industry have matured to build an MLS that has accurate information and procedures, local boards, and we do co-broking so that we incentivize people to bring buyers to people's home. But remember, that is your commission. They have hired you and they are paying you the commission, and your decision to share that commission with someone else is your decision. So take credit for it, even if it is the standard procedure. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, or in this case, Jim, let me educate you about how real estate really works. Ads don't sell homes. Realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for, now look how she's upscaling it, the best agents to bring their qualified buyers to your home. And then here's the kicker. As your agent, I will never waste your money. And I certainly wouldn't waste my own. So whether they think that commission is their money or your money, you're not going to waste it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So this is a powerful script. By the way, for those of you who would like more material, here's what I will do. If you write me, dave@kw.com, I will send you all these slides. I will send you my Dave's favorite scripts, which include a lot more that I haven't put in here, particularly lead generation scripts. I'll send you the assertiveness bill of rights. So those three things, all these slides, Dave's favorite scripts, and the assertiveness bill of rights. I'll send that to you. But all you have to do is write me, dave@kw.com, and give me your 3 ahas. You have to earn this. Give me your 3 ahas, 3 things that stood out for you personally in this presentation, that were insights, gave you insights that you're probably going to go implement, right? So 3 ahas, A-H-A''S, ahas. So we call them. We think ahas are great learning experiences because they lead to implementation. So I just wanted to remind you to do that, okay? Now, it's important to understand that people aren't picking the company you're with because they're picking you, but who you're with matters. And so in the early days, what people would say, I'd love to list with you, but I've never heard of this Keller, whatever it is. We taught a script and it was, oh, Keller Williams. Yeah, let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the newest, most innovative, fastest growing real estate company in America and right here in Massachusetts. Yeah, that's why we're with them. See, and they go, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Now it's changed though, because now by 40% larger than any other company, we say. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the largest, most innovative, and highly respected real estate company in the world. And then here's the kicker. And I'm with Keller Williams because at Keller Williams, I'm a partner in the business. I get to share in the profits. I have a say in all the decisions, and I am empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve you. What a great statement. See, it's a great identity statement. It's about why you're with that company and the importance of that. And there at Keller Williams, you are a partner in the business, and you do get to share in the profits through profit share, and you do get to have a say in the decisions through the ALC. But more important than that, you are free and empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve your client. You don't have to go to your manager or broker. You make those decisions. So, and I'm with Keller Williams because at Keller Williams, I'm a partner in the business. I get to share in the profits. I have a say in all the decisions. And more important than that, I am empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve you. Yeah. So now pricing. Now, this is all chapter 7 and 8 of the book Shift. So this isn't a detailed script. I'm going to give you a feeling for the scripts that are there. There's a whole bunch of scripts that are in chapter 7 and 8 of the book Shift. Okay. It's all about pricing and staging. But here's the thing to remember. Your attitude is always that you're on their side of the table, that you want to get the highest possible price. You never back off and you never get into an argument with them. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, well, Dave, we really need to get $900,000 for it. Got it. I understand. And by the way, we are both going to deal with the reality of the current marketplace, because that is really today's current buyers are going to determine what we can sell your home for. And remember, there's really 2 markets out there. There's homes that are on the market, but they don't look very good and they're overpriced. And then there's homes that are in the market, they're priced right and they look great. My job is not just to list your home and put it on the market. I need to make sure that we are in the market, because we want to take advantage of a window of opportunity. See, when we first put your home on the market, it will get the attention of all the current agents and their buyers. And if we make a bad first impression, we're going to lose them. If we're overpriced or we aren't in good shape, we have repair issues, they're going to be gone and they're not coming back to us. What happens is if we do it right, we come into that first 10 days to 2 weeks and we get their attention positively, and we will get offers and maybe multiple offers, but we will get our highest possible price right then in that window of opportunity. We don't want to chase the market, but all the research says if you price it right and stage it right, you will get the highest possible price. And that's my commitment to you, to get the highest possible price. Does that make sense? Yeah. Let's look at the details. By the way, a lot of people have asked me, Dave, do you do the pricing before you get the listing? No. Building your pricing strategy is part of your service. And if somebody would say, well, Dave, what are you going to sell it for? I'm going to go, well, I'm going to sell it for the highest possible price. But you and I will determine our strategy for that once you decide to hire me to handle the sale for you. It's one of the most important services I provide. Well, this other agent says they can get us like $1 million. And I go, oh, really? So they think they're in a bidding war? This isn't a bidding war. You know, agents can tell you anything that they think they can get the home for to get the listing. And then they start to give you the market information, and you see that either that's going to be way overpriced or you're going to have to price it lower. So they hope later you'll bring it down to a realistic price, but they're going to try and get your attention by giving you a high price. I don't do that. See, it's interesting. Some agents tell people what they want to hear. I tell people what they need to hear. I'm a professional. That's why people hire me. So we'll make a great pricing decision, and we will get the most for your home. I guarantee you that. We will do that, but we'll do it in a more thorough way after you decide to hire me to handle the sale of your home. You ready? Let's go. See, that's really it. Don't do it ahead of time. It's not a bidding war, and those people can put up any number they want. And you need to make that decision with them. It's an important part of your service. Don't get hooked into that other one. Now, there's another thing not to get hooked into. Let's talk about commission. So, Dave, would you cut your commission? Well, listen, first of all, I just want you to know I respect you for asking that question, because I know you're trying to get the best possible deal for you and your family, and you have every right to do that. And you know what's interesting? I love this real estate business so much. I think there's days I do it for free, but I don't think my family would really appreciate that. So let's talk about commission, because many people don't understand what happens to the commission. Let me explain. First of all, half of it, 3%, goes to the company or agent that brings the qualified buyer. So in a sense, that's not a commission, it's more of a marketing fee, right? And then the remaining 3% of that, 1/3 of it goes to the company I'm with, biggest in the world, most powerful, Keller Williams. Another 1/3 of it covers my business expenses, technology, marketing, my staffing. So only 1/3 of it, about 1%, goes to me and my family. And I know you think it would be wrong for me to cut that. Right? Are we okay? Yeah, let's get going. See, there's two things to remember about commission. One is they're very fair. One is it's all negotiable, and the average in the industry isn't 6%, it's about 5.7 when you put buyer side, seller side together. So it's in the 5 something, mid 5s. And I was using 6 just as an example because that's what's in people's heads. So the commission is always negotiable. Number 2 is that it's a fair price to pay. The real estate industry, with its regulators that protect the interest of the consumer, the brokers and owners who step up and they provide guarantees to the buyers and sellers, and they're there for them, except in some companies they're not, but in ours, they're there for them to make sure the client gets served. And then the agents do all this work, and we have the MLS and we have co-broking. So the point is, all of that structure costs money to deliver, and for them to get all of that benefit and the highest possible price for their home is to pay 6% is not undue. So do not feel embarrassed in any way about your commission. And the other is, they may think you're getting all 6%. That's why we do this little script, because then they understand you're not getting all 6%. You're not, and you're actually only ending up with about 1% of it. And that'll give them some understanding. So, and the other thing is, I know agents that say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, before we begin, I just want you to know I charge 1% more than the other agents in the area. Most of them charge 5 or 6, and I charge 7 because of my experience. I know I'm going to get you the highest possible price, and to protect your interests all the way through, because I'm a master of all the aspects of real estate. So I charge 7. Is that okay with you? Okay, great. Let's get started. See, some of them do it right up front. Same thing with transaction fees, administrative fees. So the point of it is, do not be embarrassed about your commission, though, but be willing to explain what really happens to it. Does that make sense? All right. So we've covered everything from the point of view of our competence and our communication, and now our presentation. And as I said, if you want all of these slides, a copy of those, and Dave's favorite scripts, and the assertiveness bill of rights, I'll send that all to you. Send me an email, dave@kw.com, dave@kw.com, and give me your 3 ahas, which, by the way, will be a good exercise for you to take the most out of this. Absolutely. So the final thing I want to talk about is the most important sales presentation you will ever make in your life, and that's the one to yourself, the power of self-talk. And here's how I want you to talk to yourself. I am in a skill-based sales profession. It's not easy. It's rocket science. It's difficult. Most people can't do it. I am mastering those skills. I am really getting better. I'm getting better at the knowledge and the skills. And I'm like a professional athlete or an entertainer. I practice hard, long, and often so that I get better and better at what I do. And as my competence increases, so does my confidence. And my confidence is getting stronger and stronger. And others are feeling this positive energy from me. They can feel it. And I'm taking lots of listings, and they're priced right, so they're selling. And I'm getting a reputation, and I'm doing my just listed, just sold cards around my sales. So that's adding more business and more referrals. And I am doing what Gary Keller and Jay Papasan and Dave Jenks say to do in their book. They say, think big, aim high, act bold. And I'm doing it. There we go.
Thanks so much, Dave.
You bet, Lauren. And I'm happy that we could do this. We have it recorded. So one of the things a lot of agents have said to me, boy, it's so valuable, Dave, to re-listen to this presentation, because it's not just your words, it's the way you say them. It's that inflection and that kind of, and those little comments you make afterwards. And I want to feel that same level of presentation and assertiveness. And so I would just tell you, so yes, set up a partner or a couple of people to really work at memorizing those scripts. Do that. That takes practice. By the way, that's not role playing. That's a different thing. Memorizing is memorizing. You just really are helping each other to memorize the words exactly as they are and be able to say them and say them well. Then later you can do role plays where you do a presentation and there's some back and forth. But it's the memorization that's really the key. Yeah. Good. So any questions chatted in?
Yeah, if anyone wants to get off mute, you can hop on as well.
And we've got a couple of minutes if you would like to, ask a question or have something that if I raise some issue that you want to make a comment on, please feel free to do that. It's a challenging game we play, and I know and markets go up and down. So we're dealing right now with a hot sellers market. Getting listings is hard. I mean, we're doing nationally and probably in your area more sales than we've done in last year or the year before. So there's more sales, but there's low inventory because things are selling so fast. So this is even more of a reason. And I have another session called Unstoppable Lead Generation, which talks about how to get to leads. But when you get there, then this gives you the confidence. And as Mike Ferry said, if you have a great listing presentation, you'll be out asking for business.
Absolutely. Eric,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes.
Do you recommend like a PowerPoint presentation, or do you recommend just verbally, going through the script?
I'll tell you what, I think technology gets in the way. And even in the old days when people had flip charts, in the old days, we used to teach how to use a flip chart. And in a sense, then we needed a graphical expectation. But I think, Mark, Eric, that you're really trying to make the emotional connection. So you may have a flyer you've sent beforehand that tells about how you work and your commitment to service and any testimonials from your people, kind of that to set the stage. But if you take time to go through technology, number one is sometimes the technology doesn't work. Number two is it takes away from that personal emotional connection. And I think, Eric, what I've learned over time is that people list more for emotional reasons than they do for analytic reasons. They'll use the analysis. So after you have the listing, you might give them a couple of extra flyers or something to say, by the way, if any friends of yours, if you think they need to sell their home or whatever, here's something. And by the way, here's a reminder, just, of what I do. Right. So kind of after the fact, more to nail it down, because that's what happens with people. They make an emotional decision and then they look for rationale to support it. So one of the things to do once you say, okay, by the way, thank you for honoring me and trusting me to handle the sale of your home. And by the way, here's just a couple of flyers about me in case somebody asks you why you picked me. Right? You're how you're doing. In case somebody asks you why you picked me. And because it's kind of hard for them to go, well, we just liked Eric. Eric was such a nice guy. We really kind of fell in love with Eric. And, really, that's why, so give them some rationale about that. Same thing, that would be an easy place to put in a short form, your script about Keller Williams, to say Keller Williams, largest, most innovative company in the world and highly respected, just something like that kind of highlights, so that they can say, oh yeah, and he's with the number one company in the world.
Okay.
But I would say, I think to get to the heart of your question, no, I would focus it more on the interaction with them personally.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Good question.
I have a question. You can't see my face because I don't want to show you my face right now.
Oh no, she's going incognito. Who am I talking to?
So this is, and actually, you know what?
No, you don't know. I'm only kidding you.
What the heck? I'm going to show you my face. What the heck? Here I am. I just got out of the shower. My hair's wet. Everybody knows me, you guys. How's everybody?
Okay, Lisa. Hey, we know you. We like you the way you are, wet head or not,
So first of all, thank you for this presentation. I thought it was really an excellent presentation.
Okay, thank you.
But two things come into my mind in this market. So, I have like so many buyers, it's out of control. There are too many buyers and not enough listings. Everybody knows that.
That's it. No, that's it everywhere. Yep.
It's out of control. I've been really trying in the past couple of weeks to get on the phones to just talk to people, picking a neighborhood. I have access to a database that shows me phone numbers. Number one, I could spend all day, and I spoke about this with Mark DeChambeau when we had our little meeting last week, the get together. But I can tell you that I'm getting so many answering machines, constant answering machines.
Yep.
Number one, would you leave a message on an answering machine or just go to the next one?
Well, you know what? In this time, I might, because I might say, look, so-and-so, I just wanted to let you know, so-and-so has hired me to handle the sale of your home. And the sale of that home may impact the value of yours. Give me a call if you'd like to know the value of yours or need to sell it. So one of the things to do is make sure that you are calling around all your active listings and maybe even all the active office listings, because that gives you a reason to call. Hi, this is Lisa. And I'm with Keller Williams. And by the way, and it could be just the office, somebody in the office listed it. Nothing wrong with calling around somebody else's listings. That's not illegal. It's not contractual interference. It's not anything. It's just smart marketing. And say, we've been retained by the Smiths to handle the sale of their home. They're right down the street from you. And by the way, the sale of their home may impact the value of yours. If you'd like to know it, or maybe need to sell it, call me. So give them a reason to call you.
Okay.
Right. That's it. And a sense of urgency.
Okay. But short and sweet, not too detailed. Short and sweet.
No. In fact, more, you're trying to get their curiosity up, right? You're trying to make them curious to call you, right? Oh, wow. I wonder what she means by that. Like, it might affect the value of ours, right? They might even want to know what you mean by that. Anything that makes it interesting, but gives them a sense of urgency. A very personal, hi, this is Warren. Lisa, I just wanted you to know, as a specialist in your area, See, there you go, right away. Just a quick phrase. By the way, as a real estate specialist in your in our area, you say our, you identify with them in our area. I just wanted to let you know the Smiths have retained us to handle the sale of their home right down the street from you. And by the way, the sale of that home may impact the value of yours. If you need to know what the value of your home is or want to sell it, call me. Yeah. Okay. Boom. And here's my number.
Okay.
Yep. Now give a sense of urgency, give a reason for the call. Yeah, you're going to get, I think we're in the day and age, we used to say, don't leave a message, but that was in the age where most people answered their phone. Now they can see where the call came from and often, right? And so they just aren't answering their phone. They're actually only, I'm like this. So I need to, so I almost never, unless I know the person that's calling, I almost never answer the phone.
I'm
Almost
telling you,
never.
I can make 50 calls and every one is a machine or no answer. I kid you not.
Yeah. No, leave them. That's it. Leave them. And then the other thing is, you know, if depending on your area, you know, do the door knocking and leave a flyer.
Well,
You know,
that's
that
a good
just says,
question.
hey,
You think even with COVID, it's time to start door knocking? I'm really, people telling me, no, don't go. People are going to get upset. They
I
want
think
to
it
hear
is.
you.
I think it is. If somebody, you've got a mask with you, if they come to the door and they're wearing a mask, or you'd say, would you like me to put a mask on? You know, you can say that just kind of as a sensitivity. But no, I don't think, you know, I think that if there's no rule against it, then do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's getting more assertive. The other thing to remember is this is really a time to really, this is where you say, man, why didn't I do a better job of building my database, right? Because now is a time where in that target market, if you've, and I always recommend you have about 1,000 to 2,000 area that you are focused on. I mean, that's your, used to call it a farm area, but that's your area of focus because real estate's still a local business. And if you take 10 listings spread out all over your whole area, that's one thing. But if you have 10 listings in a neighborhood, that's a big deal because you now become the go-to person, right? So you're wanting to kind of focus your marketing. And so the thing is, be building that database. The more and more you can get and be able to communicate with people, email or text, that's a good thing. And
Okay.
phone calls are the best, yeah.
Where can we
Right.
learn about that lead presentation? You said you have another.
No, I did. I just built that recently. So Lauren will let Eric know about that. And if you guys want to bring me in, it's called Unstoppable Lead Generation, because I realized that of all the things I've done and I've wrapped it around that, that's the one I didn't put together yet, right? And so, I mean, I have it together now, but the point was I hadn't put it together. So it's just something that I've added in the last 2 months.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep,
Look
okay.
forward to that.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks
so
very
much.
much.
Awesome. I got one last question in the chat and then I
Okay.
know you got to hop off.
Yes.
It's from Lori. She says, I don't know if it is right to call around someone else's listing and say, quote unquote, we, because if that person calling says something incorrect, it could reflect on that listing agent. I think permission should be asked. What are your thoughts?
It's your choice. It's a choice. I don't think it's unethical. I think it's aggressive, assertive. I think it's just, you know, the point is that we are a team. One of the number one agent in all of Century 21, Jim Droz, back in the early 80s, number one agent in the world he would call early in his career, he would call around his, the listings that came on the market. And he would say, we have listed, and he meant we realtors. We realtors have just listed. We cooperate. He didn't say all what I'm going to say now, but in his mind, he said, no, I paid a member of the MLS. I work with other realtors. I cooperate with them. I honor them. We have just listed the property at blank blank. And the sale, and then he would go into that sale of the property. So I think, you know, it's your own form of ethics. To me, you're not doing anything to undermine that agent. In fact, you're helping them get that home sold. Your call may generate the buyer. You may say, by the way, if you know somebody that wants to move to this area, I'd be happy to work with them. And so you're helping sell that home. We're in a very cooperative business. It's no more like saying that we'll co-broke, that we are working against people. We're not. And you are not calling them and saying, you're not calling the seller and saying, well, listen, if your home doesn't sell, call me. That would be unethical because you are interfering with a contract, but not, this isn't. Mm-mm. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's a great business. Love your market center. It's a powerful market center. Go make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dave.
All right, Lauren, you take care.
Likewise. Have a
everybody.
good one.